Muling iginiit ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte ang posisyon nito na hindi hahamunin ang China para ipagtanggol ang karapatan ng Pilipinas sa ibang bahagi ng West Philippine Sea. Paliwanag ng Pangulo, aminado siya na hindi niya talaga mabibira at makukuha sa takot ang China. Nanindigan ng Pangulo na hindi siya papasok sa gera na hindi niya ikakapanalo. Samantala, sa ugnay na balita, magsasagawa ang Senado ng investigasyon sa polisiya ng gobyerno sa militarisasyon ng China sa West Philippine Sea. Ayon kay Senador Loren Legarda, chairman ng Committee on Foreign Relations, bahagi ito ng paglalatag ng foreign policy ng bansa. Nakatakdang magsagawa ng public hearing ang kanilang komite upang alamin ang pulso ng publiko sa usapin ng militarisasyon at kung paano maiiwasan ang pagkakaroon ng tensyon sa lugar. Anya makakasama ng Foreign Relations Committee ang Senate Committee on National Defense sa pangunguna ni Senador Gringo Honasan. At yan ang mga balita para sa oras na ito. Abangan ang iba pang mainit na balita mamayang 11:30 ng umaga sa
Major earthquake that hit Osaka, Japan, and left at least 3 people dead, and at least 200 people are injured. At least 2 elderly men and a little girl are dead from the major earthquake. It hit a suburb in between the major cities of Osaka and Kyoto Monday morning. Television images showed buildings and cars swaying and burst pipes spewing water after the earthquake, which struck at the height of rush hour in the city of around 2 million people. However, there was no large-scale destruction and no tsunami warning issued after the earthquake, although commuters were stranded and tens of thousands were left without power. A number of train services were suspended, including the Shinkansen bullet train, as multiple smaller aftershocks followed the quake. Among the casualties was a 9-year-old girl who died in the city of Takatsuki, north of Osaka, reportedly trapped by a collapsed wall following the earthquake. Local media said the other 2 dead were an 80-year-old man killed by a collapsing wall and a man trapped under a bookcase in his home. The Fire and Disaster Management Agency said more than 200 people were injured. Japan sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire, where many of the world's earthquakes and volcanic eruptions are recorded. On March 11, to recall 2011, a devastating magnitude 9 quake struck under the Pacific Ocean, and the resulting tsunami caused widespread damage and claimed thousands of lives. It also sent 3 reactors into meltdown at the Fukushima nuclear plant, causing Japan's worst post-war disaster and the most serious nuclear accident since Chernobyl in 1986. The Nuclear Regulation Authority said it had detected no problems at its local atomic power plants. But some companies, including Honda, said they had suspended operations at local plants. Meanwhile, authorities say another similar-sized quake could hit the area in the next few days. Agency officials also issued this warning.
In the regions with strong tremors, please be careful about the collapsed furniture and mudslide. People are advised to pay attention to the situation after this, and please be careful not to get near to the dangerous places. In the past, the earthquake of a similar scale has occurred with a 10 or 20% chances. And in the region with strong tremors, in the following 1 week, the people are advised to be careful about possibility of 6- earthquake, because the earthquake of the similar scale can happen after the serious earthquake.
Meanwhile, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe updated the reporters on the situation. Take a listen.
Our basic policy is the people's lives first. So the entire government in coordination in responding to this situation. Our first priority is to grasp the damage and do everything we can in order to save lives and to provide relief to the affected people, as well as providing necessary information with the people of Japan.
A 6.1 magnitude earthquake greeted Osaka and its neighboring prefectures in West Japan early morning on Monday, bringing chaos in the areas with 3 dead and several others injured. According to data released by the Japan Meteorological Agency, the strong earthquake that happened at 7:58 Japan Standard Time occurred at a depth of around 13 kilometers in the northern part of Osaka Prefecture. It registered a lower 6 out of a 7 on the Japanese seismic intensity scale. This scale would bring any unsecured furniture to move or fall down, while people would find it hard to remain steady on such a strong movement, the agency said, adding that a shallow epicenter had caused high-intensity tremors despite the earthquake's relatively small magnitude. According to police, a man in his 80s and a 9-year-old girl were reported dead after a wall fell over them. Another 80-year-old man also died in the suburbs of Osaka. Disaster Management Minister Hachiro Okonogi said several people were buried under a collapsed building. Authorities are still working to confirm any casualty. Several train delays and cancellations, traffic disruptions, injuries, and fire casualties have also been reported in the cities of Osaka, Kyoto, Mie, and Hyogo prefectures. Commuters in the morning rush hour were left stranded on the streets and in stations as the incident disrupted Shinkansen operations and also other railways in central and western Japan, canceling over 60 bullet trains at 11 a.m. Eagle News have talked to several residents in Osaka. One worker was on her way to work when the ground started shaking and she had difficulty steadying herself up. Another one had to climb up 30 floors in her office building because all the elevators have stopped. Several establishments, offices, and old houses, even household items, were also damaged. The agency said that the most recent quake is the strongest one felt in western Japan since 1923 when they started the official records. Reporting from Osaka, Japan, this is Luis Stefano Melda for Eagle News International, and I am one with 25.
South Korea on Monday began 2 days of war games to practice defending the disputed Dokdo Islands off its east coast against an unlikely attack by Japan. The drills come just days after President Trump announced the suspension of long-running U.S. joint exercises with South Korea, aimed at deterring North Korea, calling them expensive and provocative. The 2-day exercise, tiny compared with the suspended U.S.-South Korea war games, will involve 6 warships and 7 aircraft and had begun. A unit of Marines will land on the largely barren, rocky islets inhabited by around 40 people, mostly police officers. Tokyo reacted angrily to the extremely deplorable drills, with the foreign ministry saying it had, quote, strongly protested via the usual diplomatic channels. It said the exercises were absolutely unacceptable and strongly demanded their suspension. While an attack from Japan is deemed highly unlikely, South Korea first staged the drills in 1986 and has conducted them twice a year since 2003. Seoul has controlled the islets in the Sea of Japan, East Sea, since the end in 1945 of Japan's 35-year colonial rule over the Korean peninsula. Tokyo, meanwhile, also claims the islands, known as Takeshima in Japan, and accuses Seoul of occupying them illegally.
U.S. First Lady Melania Trump has made a rare political plea to end the deeply controversial practice of separating migrant children from their parents at the U.S. border. The zero-tolerance border security policy implemented by President Donald Trump's administration has sparked outrage on both sides of the political aisle. Trump said he wants the separations to end, but continues to blame opposition Democrats for the crisis, which critics say is one of his own making. Mrs. Trump hates to see children separated from their families and hopes both sides of the aisle can finally come together to achieve successful immigration reform. Her spokeswoman, Stephanie Grisham, told CNN. She believes we need to be a country that follows all laws, but also a country that governs with heart. In a recent 6-week period, there were nearly 2,000 family separations following a crackdown on illegal border crossings. Adults who tried to cross the border, many planning to seek asylum, are placed in custody and face criminal prosecution for illegal entry. The recent child detentions, reportedly including babies and toddlers, have resulted in some shelters and foster homes reporting that they are running out of space.
The UN Human Rights Chief urged Washington to stop separating migrant children from their parents at the U.S. border. Take a listen.
The thought that any state would seek to deter parents by inflicting such abuse on children is unconscionable. I call on the United States to immediately end the practice of forcible separation of these children, and I encourage the government to at last ratify the Convention on the Rights of the Child in order to ensure that the fundamental rights of all children, whatever their administrative status, will be at the center of all domestic laws and policies.
The zero-tolerance border security policy implemented by President Trump's administration has sparked global outrage. The government has said that during one recent 6-week period, nearly 2,000 minors were separated from their parents or adult guardians. The number of separations has jumped since early May, when Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced that all migrants illegally crossing the U.S. border with Mexico would be arrested, regardless of whether the adults were seeking asylum.
Under the laws of this country, illegal entry into America is a misdemeanor, not a felony, but it's a misdemeanor. It's a crime. Re-entry after having been deported is a felony. Having children does not give you immunity from arrest and prosecution.
Since children cannot be sent to the facilities where their parents are held, they are separated.
5 immigrants died and several others were injured Sunday after a high-speed chase with Border Patrol agents in Texas ended in a crash. The crash took place in the city of Big Wells outside San Antonio after Border Patrol agents tried to stop the driver of an SUV. A total of 14 people were in the vehicle, including the driver, who was not seriously hurt. It quoted Dimmitt County Sheriff Marion Boyd as saying the driver was traveling at speeds of 100 miles, or that's 160 kilometers per hour, while trying to flee from deputies. While traveling at top speed, the driver lost control of the SUV, which rolled, causing the deaths and injuries. 4 of the passengers were pronounced dead at the scene, and another died at the hospital. The injured were taken to hospitals for treatment. The SUV driver was arrested by Homeland Security agents. The deadly crash comes as the United States grapples with a swirling crisis over illegal immigration that has sent nearly 2,000 children separated from their parents over a recent 6-week period.
The Taliban refused to extend their ceasefire beyond Sunday night, dampening hopes for peace after jubilant scenes over the Eid holidays in Afghanistan. The announcement came after a suicide attack in the western eastern part of the country killed at least 18 people in a crowd celebrating the Muslim holiday, the second assault in as many days to mar the unprecedented ceasefire. Kabul extended its ceasefire with the Taliban by 10 days, but said security forces would defend themselves if attacked, according to a spokesman for President Ashraf Ghani. In a tweet, the Afghan leader also requested the militant group halt hostilities, but the Taliban said fighting would resume. The announcement has raised concern among some Afghans over the number of Taliban who have taken advantage of the ceasefire to enter cities around the country, including the capital Kabul, and may still be there when the truce ends. The Islamic State group, which was not part of the truce, claimed it had carried out its second suicide attack in 2 days in the province of Nangarhar.
Hi everybody, my name is Sheena and this is downtown Tampa. We are today at Tampa's Riverwalk, a trail that links to so many downtown destinations such as Tampa's Museum of Art, Glazer's Children's Museum, and Rivergate Tower. But there's so much more to the Riverwalks, from playgrounds to restaurants. So while you're planning your vacation to Tampa Bay, make sure to watch Digital Nest on YouTube or Net25 live stream every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. I'm Sheena Fernandez, your Florida Bureau correspondent, and I am 125.
As Eagle Broadcasting Corporation marks its 50th year, it is conducting several activities under the theme EBC Cares, enabling a better community. Health and nutrition are key factors on child's learning and well-being. EBC's feeding program encourages the community to combat malnutrition among children and ensure them a healthy future. EBC's cleanup drive and citronella planting hopes to help the community in caring for environment and preventing diseases such as dengue. EBC's public service program, Paglilingkod sa Bayan, Serbisyo para sa Mamamayan, has opened its doors to government agencies so more people can avail of these services. EBC's blood donation program and medical mission continue to spearhead life-saving projects, and EBC's livelihood seminar teaches and guides those who want to have additional income and business. EBC Cares, serving the people in these interesting times.
Letters and Music, Lunes hanggang Biyernes, 1:00 hanggang 2:00 ng hapon.
Lava races across roads from a Kilauea fissure on Hawaii's Big Island. Take a look. Experts are still trying to determine how fast the lava is flowing, but witnesses say it's unprecedented. Meanwhile, CBS Honolulu affiliate TMGB said a 5.3 earthquake struck Hawaii's Kilauea summit Friday afternoon, the latest in a series of increased seismic activity overnight Thursday into Friday. Activity climbed to 40 events per hour, with up to 5 earthquakes per hour that were greater than magnitude 3. Also, steaming fissures in the Kilauea volcano first began to crack open the spread lava across Hawaii's Lineland Estates neighborhood on May 3, 2018. And since then, USGS reported that more than 20 fissures have opened on the Kilauea's lower east rift zone, although most of the lava flows have been small and short-lived. Not so for fissure 8 that cracked in the earth has been regularly generating large fountains of lava that soar tens to hundreds of feet into the air. It has produced a large channelized lava flow that has acted like a river, eating through the landscape as it flows towards the sea. While the fissure 8 lava flow initially remained in relatively narrow channels, it began to widen significantly as it neared the coastline and passed over flatter land. It evaporated Hawaii's largest lake in a matter of hours and devastated the communities of Vacationland and Kapoho, destroying hundreds of homes. According to USGS estimates, Kilauea has erupted more than 110 million cubic meters of lava. That is enough to fill or 45,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools cover Manhattan Island to a depth of 7 feet, or that's 2 meters, or fill 11 million dump trucks. However, that is only about half of the volume erupted at nearby Mauna Loa in a major eruption in 1984. USGS warns that the new land at Kapoho Bay is quite dynamic, fragile, and dangerous since lava deltas are built on unconsolidated fragments and sand. The loose material can abruptly collapse or quickly erode in the surf.
The young members of the Church of Christ on Oahu, along with their parents, spent their Saturday morning at the fire station in Waipahu. The activity began with a welcome and orientation from the firefighters. The children were also shown around the station as well as the fire trucks.
Oh, the kids like that.
Afterwards, church officials showed to the firefighters a video about the Iglesia Ni Cristo and its role in helping communities around the world. Upon receiving gifts from the INC members, the station chief expressed his appreciation for today's visit.
Anything that improves our community and people and that help people that's what we're all about. I think our community is still growing. We do have, just like many communities, a amount of homeless issues to deal with and stuff like that. So, we have the challenges like everybody else, and we're there to meet it and do our best.
The chief also took time to share his thoughts on recent events that firefighters throughout Hawaii have experienced in the past year.
That was a very challenging fire. Our guys did a tremendous job. Our firefighters worked really hard. The outcome could have been worse. We all take away lessons learned from that, and we move forward in a positive direction. It's made us stronger. We've improved training also because of that, and safety.
Chief Len Chenko even offered some friendly advice to anyone interested in joining the Honolulu Fire Department and to everyone in Hawaii about having responsible fun this summer.
We're always looking for good personnel. Every department has that challenges, and we are promoting and we are hiring. So if there's any good candidates out there, get your name in the hat. Come and join us. This is a great job, very fulfilling job. We do good work. Please, everybody, stay safe. It is hurricane season. Pay attention. Go out and start preparing. Don't wait till the last moment. Keep all your family safe and have a happy and safe summer.
From Waipahu, Hawaii, I'm Mio Esanas from Eagle News. I'm 1 with 25.
Over the course of 2 days, from June 3rd to June 4th, Australians come together to celebrate WA Day, a day dedicated to commemorating the many reasons why Western Australia is so great. From its rich Indigenous culture to its diversity to its laid-back lifestyle, there are many reasons why to be happy here. Across the 9 sites this event takes place in, Elizabeth Key takes place in the center of the celebration, putting forth its own array of activities to take part in, such as 12 booths, concerts, artworks, and playing zones for children.
Celebrated every first Monday of June annually, WA Day has become an occasion everyone looks forward to, no matter how long they have identified themselves as Western Australians. Despite WA being the biggest state in Australia, Western Australian Day is a statewide celebration in order to ensure that the Western Australian spirit is truly being upheld and showcased.
WA Day was a great opportunity for families to share laughter and bonds together. It also encouraged many citizens who may be from different cultural backgrounds to see what it means to be Western Australians.
Despite the cold and rainy forecast, Elizabeth Key was still filled with thousands of Western Australians celebrating WA Day. A total of 47 food trucks, different art exhibitions focusing on the outback nature of WA, and musical entertainment were scattered all over the venue to cater to everyone's interest. There were also fireworks display during the first night of the festival. The rain definitely did not dampen the pride and happiness each of the attendees felt while celebrating their home state, Western Australia.
WA is considered to be the fastest growing state in Australia. This, of course, is due to the hard-working Western Australians, as well as to the abundance of natural resources that can be found here.
WA Day celebrations are a chance for Western Australians to see how far Western Australia has come from its humble beginnings and to inspire them to continue contributing great achievements for the future.
In Elizabeth Key, Perth, Australia, reporting for Eagle News International, I'm Ivan Madrano.
And I'm Jessamy Mion.
And we are one with 25.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
ASEAN in Focus, Monday to Friday, 2 to 2:30 p.m.
FIBA's Central Board on Saturday unanimously agreed to extend the contract of Secretary General Patrick Bowman until 2031. Mr. Bowman has held the position since 2003. In 2010, his contract has renewed until 2022. FIBA President Horacio Moratore said they are very pleased with the work that Patrick Bowman had done. He has helped FIBA become a solid organization thanks to the implementation of concrete measures such as the introduction of a new, efficient, modern structure and governance system which unites the whole FIBA family, integrates its key stakeholders and protects our values and construction of the House of Basketball, the first and very own purpose-built headquarters, and the signing of long-term commercial partnership, providing for a stable and strong financial foundation which supports all of the FIBA family for the next decade. Mr. Bowman, a Swiss national, joined FIBA in 1994 as a lawyer and a year later was appointed Deputy Secretary General of Basketball's world governing body. In 2002, he has unanimously appointed FIBA Secretary General by the Central Board and 5 years later became a member of the International Olympic Committee. Prior to joining the FIBA, he was involved in basketball as a player, coach and referee in Switzerland and Italy. Mr. Bowman is married and has 2 children. In football, Mexico stunned World Cup holders Germany on Sunday, inflicting a 1-0 defeat that throws the Germans' title defense in disarray as Neymar's Brazil stuttered to a draw against Switzerland. The outstanding Hirving Lozano smashed home the Mexican winner in the 35th minute at Moscow Luzhniki Stadium, leaving Manuel Neuer clutching at thin air on his return to the German goal after a 9-month injury absence. Toni Kroos crashed a shot against the crossbar for Germany, but they were never able to get back into the match as they slid their first defeat in their opening game of a World Cup since 1982. Germany coach Joachim Löw did not mince his words about his side's performance, saying his team had played very badly in the first half of the Group F tie. If Germany finish as group runners-up, they could face Brazil in a clash of World Cup titans in the next round, a perfect chance for the Brazilians to avenge the humiliating 7-1 defeat to the Germans on home soil in 2014. Meanwhile, Mexican goalkeeper Guillermo Ochoa's stunning performance in his team's surprise 1-0 win over the World Cup champions Germany has earned him accolades, praise, and of course memes. And these are the stories for EN Sports. I'm Ben Bernaldez and I'm 1 with 25.
Thousands of jubilant Mexico supporters partied in the streets of the capital after their team's shock 1-0 victory over World Cup holders Germany, singing, dancing, blaring car horns, and cheering Ealge. The earth literally moved in quake-prone Mexico City when Herving Chucky Lozano smashed home the game-winning goal in the 35th minute at Moscow's Luzhniki Stadium. A football earthquake of joy. Take a look.